Can you guys name me an FPL midfielder with more points than the likes of Mo Salah, Reinders, Semenyo, Kudos? Well, I can. His name is Enzo Fernández, but is he actually a viable option? To truly understand if he actually is, let's have a look at Enzo Fernández's role in that Chelsea side. Positions in football are almost a thing of the past, and in this image here, I'm going to prove exactly why. Enzo Maresca utilizes a couple different build-up structures with Chelsea, from the 3-1-6 to the 3-3-4, but more often than not, he utilizes the 3-2-5 build-up structure. But more importantly for FPL and Enzo Fernández is not at the base progressing the ball. He's almost as one of the number 10s next to Cole Palmer or João Pedro, whoever plays in the 10. So on paper, Enzo Fernández might be lining up next to Moises Caicedo, but on the football pitch, it is a completely different story. And this is not just a free-game knee-jerk analysis on Chelsea. This is a random image from last year in the Premier League, Chelsea versus Wolves, and we can see Enzo Fernández playing alongside Cole Palmer in the number 10 role when Chelsea had possession. So why is Enzo Fernández still being massively overlooked by the FPL community? In my eyes, it's to do with when Enzo Fernández first entered the Premier League, the role that he had under Mauricio Pochettino, and when the majority of us saw him, which was the 2022 World Cup. So I had a look at Enzo Fernández's heat map during his final season with Mauricio Pochettino and his first season with Enzo Maresca. The top one is with Mauricio Pochettino. As we can see, Enzo Fernández is involved more in the build-up. His heat map is slightly deeper, whereas with Enzo Maresca, we can see the darker areas are slightly more forward. And the numbers prove exactly that. So I had a look at Enzo Fernández in the 23-24 season under Mauricio Pochettino versus Enzo Maresca in the 24-25 season. Bar XG, Enzo Fernández under Enzo Maresca had a higher number of goals, 0.17 to 0.11, more touches in the penalty area, more assists, more expected assists, which is obviously massively beneficial for how we look at Enzo Fernández as an FPL asset. So we've looked at how Enzo Fernández's role has changed at Chelsea over the years, but how does he compare to current popular FPL assets? One of the most popular FPL assets right now in midfield is Kudos from Spurs. His ownership is currently at 30%, whereas Enzo's is currently below 10%. Is there a reason for that? Let's have a look at the underlying data. So let's start with the creative side of things, and this is where Kudos really comes out on top. After his opening 2 assists against Burnley in the opening day of the season, the hype for Kudos in FPL was real. Of course, it's only been 3 games, so the sample size is not the biggest, but Kudos has a high number of expected assists than Enzo Fernández this season. More obviously assists, more passes into the penalty area, more progressive runs. And this is a trend I think will continue throughout the season, with Kudos' creative numbers being better than Enzo Fernández. But one thing we do know in FPL is that midfielders get more points for goals than assists. So how does the shooting and attacking data really look for Enzo Fernández in comparison to Kudos? And this is where the Chelsea midfielder really comes out on top. If we're looking at XG so far in the opening 3 games, Enzo Fernández, higher number of XG, more goals than Kudos, more shots, 1.24 to just 0.32 for Kudos, and more touches into the penalty area. So as we can see, Enzo Fernández attacking in terms of shooting data is so much better than Kudos. However, one has 32% ownership and one's less than 10%. So the question is Enzo Fernández really the best midfielder in FPL? I think we both know the answer to that question is probably no. But is he being massively overlooked by a large proportion of the FPL community with under 10% ownership? The answer to that question should definitely be yes. And also, one thing we love in the FPL community is routes to points. Last game, in the absence of Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernández was the one that took the penalty against Fulham, ahead of the likes of João Pedro, who we know is a brilliant penalty taker. So that's one thing that I think if you're going to own Enzo Fernández in the future is a massive positive. But other than that, Enzo Fernández at 6.6 million should therefore have higher ownership and is a brilliant FPL option. But listen, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys give it a like. Comment your thoughts on Enzo Fernández as an FPL pick. I would love to see your comments, and subscribe to the channel, and we will be back soon.